Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, depending on whereabouts in the world that you are right now. So, this week, our lesson was values. And I promised that I would come online and see how you got on with working out your values. So, this is what this time is for. I did put out a thread earlier about did you have any questions, and I didn't get any through. So I thought it would be great to begin with to just ask you, did you figure out what your values were? If you did, can you share them in the group and tell us what your values are? And did this bring anything up for you? So I'm going to hang on around here for a little while and see who shows up for the call, because I know what it's like, and it's been a crazy, crazy week for a lot of people. There's a lot of emotion with all the changes in the world. And so, yeah, we'll see who turns up and also go through your values and your questions. So maybe what I can do is, in the meantime, is just give you a quick refresh on my values, which I went through in the lesson last Monday. And, you know, when I first did my values, they've changed a lot since when I first did them. They were quite long-winded in the beginning, and they were also quite not as clear as they are today. You know, the first time I did my values was when I was in the midst of a career change, when I was really, really not clear on what I wanted. And the values exercise that I took you through as well the other day, is really focused around helping you to see the values that you are not living right now that you need to be. Because when you live your values every day, when you bring them into the way that you operate, like, it really reduces a lot of frustration, and it can almost create when you list your frustrations and then the experiences that you would like to be having instead, you can actually use that as a checklist, as a specification for what you're looking for in a different job. So that might not tell you, for example, that you want to change, like me, from engineering to go become a coach and do training and that sort of stuff. But what it will do is it will show you, okay, so wherever I work and whatever I end up doing, it has to give me these things. And so then, as you begin to explore what alternative careers you could do, or how you might want to reshape your work life or your business, you can actually use that specification to say, okay, does this idea that I'm having meet that specification? Does it live up to what I'm really wanting to be experiencing right now? And as well as that, then when you come to the values, this tells you about the kind of environments that you like to be in, particularly if you work in employment rather than for yourself. Having your values really, really clear is a great way to work out whether you're going to fit in a company and be a good fit. One thing I always loathe about changing jobs and taking jobs is, I think the process right now is the equivalent of, like, imagine going on a first date with someone, right? And then saying, by the end of this date, you have to decide, are you going to marry this person, or you're going to be in a relationship with this person for the next 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, or are you going to never see them again? And that's kind of the process of seeking a job, which I always find quite weird, if I'm honest. I think we could definitely, in this modern age, be doing something much better than that. But coming back to values, when you know your values, at least on that first date, when you're going for interviews, however many stages you go through, or when you're thinking about how to shape your business, you can be having the active conversation from a place of, like, I really know what I need and what I want and what kind of environments I work best in. So with your values, you can absolutely take each value that you have and say, is this company going to support me in doing this, or do I get the vibe that maybe it's all talk and not much action in terms of that? So that's my take on it. I'm going to hang around for a little bit longer, see if anybody shows up for the live Q&A. So one request that I do have is please, please, please post your values into the group. I know it's scary because it's a new group and we all don't know each other, but I promise you that everyone who's joined is shy and nervous, and you know, it's quite scary putting yourself out there as well. And not everybody is extroverted and comfortable with doing that, I know. But the thing is, you're only going to get out of this group what you're willing to share. The more you're willing to open up, the more support and energy can flow your way. So if you've done this exercise, do post your values into the group. There's actually, on the right hand side of the group, there's a set of tags, and one of them says activation exercise. If you tag your values as you post them into the group with that, it means that I can easily see them and have a look, and so can all the teachers who you're going to be meeting throughout this process. And so we'll take a look at those, and also remember that there is the chance to win a 6-week one-to-one coaching program with me, and that can be on a career change, it can be on just finding more balance and joy in what you do, or it can be on starting or working out your business idea, or even developing your business and its messaging to be more true to you. So my big superpower is about helping people to be more true to themselves, to crystallize those ideas and their essence into the work that they do. I really, truly, in my experience, find that work shouldn't be just about getting a paycheck. It should also deliver for us in terms of a certain level of internal satisfaction. And having not had that in my younger years, it definitely makes life much easier, much happier. It gives more time for you to kind of have space for the rest of your life as well, when you're clear on your values and when you're clear on what you want. So give me a hello if you've just joined us. Let me know who's on the live now. And welcome. Do you have any questions? So we're doing a live Q&A now about the values lesson that we did this week. And so what else can I say about values? I think that, yeah, it can be quite challenging as well to go from, even though you can work out what you don't like, most people tend to know much more strongly than what you do like. And most people, in my experience, can work out what they don't want, and based on that, then they can start to explore what they do want. In that process, sometimes, I know for me, there was a realization that I didn't actually know what I wanted. And it took quite a lot of work even just to get to that stage for me personally. I find what I've learned through coaching other people, though, and also in going through my own journey, is that don't worry if you don't know and you don't have the perfect answer. Just write down whatever comes up for you and whatever the first thing that comes to mind is. And also, just don't worry about whether you're getting it right, because there is no right or wrong in this. One of the things that really blocked me in trying to find my path with work was the idea that I wanted to make sure that if I made another choice and stepped away from my cozy job and employment, I wanted to make sure that whatever I stepped into was going to work out. And that really blocked me because it made me demand a higher level of like security than I was actually, but I wasn't taking actions to give me that level of security. So when I work with career changes especially, but I think also with businesses, once the idea is a bit more solid, one of the things that you have to do is kind of go with your best guess sometimes and learn to put things together knowing that they might fail, and get it out there so that you can start to get feedback, so that you can start to know what it is that people think, what it is that people want, whether your assumptions are correct or not. One of the big challenges that I have with the traditional way of thinking about business is you have to think it all through, and you have to have all the data in order to make the right choices. And that's great if you can get all of that data, and it's great if you know all of that stuff. But if you don't know it, then it's really hard to build that business plan. And it's exactly the same with careers. You have to like take actual steps in order to figure out what it is that you want to do, and to build a level of security that you're making the right decision. And as we get into our careers, say in our mid-career phase, one of the things we forget is what we did maybe when we were younger, or maybe what we were never shown when we were younger in some cases, which is, you took a complete beginner's mind and to your work, and you kind of knew you were taking your best guess. And, if you ever went to a career service, they would often give you a whole lot of tests in order to see what you are good at, what your strengths are, what your personality is, and all of that kind of stuff. But then they also say to you, the big thing is go out and get work experience, because all of the stats show that the more work experience you get, the more likely you are to choose a role that is going to suit you. And I think in our mid-careers, if we change career, if we go into a business, if we want to start something up for ourselves, if you want to change and grow our business even, we tend to forget about the need to have to create that stable base of the data we need to make accurate choices. And so rather than thinking about how do I get to the perfect solution, you have to say, okay, what are the steps I need to take to get to that perfect solution? And it's only by, one thing I say to my clients a lot is that you can't think your way through all the answers in work, in career, in business, because it's not all in your head. You don't have all the answers, and you're not expected to either. You have to actually take action. You have to see life as a big experiment and get your experimental hat on. Become almost like a scientist and say, well, this is my hypothesis. I think I might enjoy something like this. I think this might be a good way to go with my business. I think this might be a good way to go in terms of my business idea, but I don't know. And it's so hard to say, I don't know, but it's actually totally cool and totally freeing when you do, because it gives you the ability to say, okay, I know I don't know, so how am I going to figure out what I need to know? So as we've got no one online, I'm going to assume that you've all done your values brilliantly and have got no questions for me, or you're all totally busy. So put your questions in the thread below this live, and if I get them, I will come back online and help you out with them. As I said before, do put your list of values into the group. Type in activation exercise 1 and tag it in the activation exercise section on the right hand side, and let us know what are your values and what did you learn from this process. Was there anything that surprised you? Was there anything that seemed really obvious that maybe you weren't aware of before? Was it totally how you expected it to be? I'd really love to hear from you. and I look forward to reading those posts. Have a great evening, guys. Bye.